There are organizations out there that are leveraging Salesforce in powerful ways to serve their customers. Trailside Talk is here to shine a light on their successes and their stories.
I'm your host, Hannah Thompson. Join me on the trail to CRM success as we dig into some real-life, high-impact journeys, from challenges to triumphs and everything in between. Let's explore this story together. Welcome to Trailside Talk. Our guest today is Justin Chavarria, Vice President of Information Technology at CSSI, which is America's leading provider of engineering-based tax consulting solutions. They partner with property owners and businesses to maximize tax benefits and increase cash flow through specialized tax solutions. So thanks so much for taking the time to be here today, Justin. I'm really excited to dig into our conversation today. To start us off, will you please share a little bit more about yourself and how you came to be in your role at CSSI?
I'm honored to be on your podcast. Not really ever been on a podcast before, so pretty cool thing to do. But so I think my background is somewhat diverse in the way that I got to CSSI and just my career in general. And so, what I tell people, my experience really started in the military. So I was in the Army ROTC program during my undergrad. And when I graduated, I commissioned as an officer in the Army National Guard into the Signal Corps, which is, for those that know, it's similar to IT in any organization. The Signal Corps manages communications and, computer assets and deploying those things to the field anywhere in the world, right? So I learned a lot from that experience, mostly, in leadership and discipline, and just working hard. And so also when I graduated, because I was in the National Guard, I wasn't full-time in the military. I also had a civilian career. And so at the same time, I started in application support for a manufacturing company here in Texas called FlowServe. And that was a great experience as well. So I kind of got a lot of experience all at once. I got to travel a lot in that job as well, visiting manufacturing sites. And that was really eye-opening to me because it allowed me to see how things that we were deploying, software-wise, were affecting people in manufacturing plants, either positively or negatively, getting their feedback on it and understanding how it's best to deploy software to improve operations. From there, I went through progressive leadership, title increases through Experian, the credit bureau company, leading their application support team on a few of their products that they have, and then at a local startup, startup company called Alchemy Technology out of Plano, that actually ended up going public. And so I was there when the company went public and has stock now on the New York Stock Exchange. So that was a really cool experience as well. But those experiences gave me a lot of insight into supporting our end customers and how you can build enterprise software solutions for internal use and external use, and make sure that the end user experience is good on both ends. To get to CSSI, actually, I was reached out to by a recruiter, and they're telling me about this great tax services company that really leads the country in cost segregation, but it is looking to scale through technology. And so CSSI, up until a couple years ago, really was a mom and pop kind of company that did a lot of brute force, marketing and growth, but they, were reaching a plateau. The old owner sold the company, and so the new owners want to scale the company through technology, right? And so I love to build things. I have a lot of hobbies that are centered around building things. And so I thought it would be a good, opportunity to come into CSSI and build from the ground up a lot of the technology and really leave, my mark there, as well as make it a better place for employees and for end customers as well.
Fantastic. I love, getting to use that experience of how technology impacts the end user. That's really neat how your path led you here. That's awesome. And so now here at CSSI, could you paint us a picture of CSSI's role within the industry and maybe like what y'all's competition looks like?
Yeah. So the industry is interesting because it is technically tax services, but what CSSI does, so our main business is in cost segregation. We are also adding on additional services that, can help bring more value to our customers. But the majority of our business right now is cost segregation. So CSSI has been around since 2003. Since then, has completed over 55,000 cost segregation studies. And these are engineered studies, so there's legislation around how these studies can be delivered, with actual engineers who complete the studies. And so, so CSSI is the leading in terms of numbers, cost segregation company in the country, and also, always looking for ways that we can add services for our customers. So whether that's through add-on studies that we can do to provide more tax savings, or just helping fill out paperwork that it's needed to file. There are a multitude of things that we provide. But as we compare to our competition, I think we have several differentiators, but our biggest differentiator that has been reinforced multiple times by different organizations is that we have very precise studies. We spend a lot of time and effort to make sure our studies that we provide are not going to put our customer in a bind with the IRS, because it's, at the end of the day, this is a way for you to get tax savings. And if we provide inaccurate data, then it could raise questions with the IRS, and that's the last thing we want to do. But we also fully represent, if our customers, if there is ever an audit. None of our studies have ever triggered an audit, which I think stands to show that our quality in engineered studies is top tier. But if a customer gets audited for some other reason and the IRS has questions, we're happy to help represent them as well. So to me, being at CSSI now for a little over a year, I've come to realize that a lot of our competition is more about, driving down price and trying to get savings that maybe doesn't exist. Whereas we try to be as precise and realistic with savings as possible so that we never have a conflict, with our customers or with the IRS.
Could you tell us more about how you improve customers' lives and who your ideal customer and target industry are?
Yeah, so ideal customers are anybody who owns a business or owns a building through a business or for a business use. And so essentially what we can do for our customers is we take whatever that building, whatever that footprint is of the building, any of the assets that are in that building. So let's, a simple example, and this is simplified because, there's much more complex studies that we've done, but just a simple example is Airbnbs, right? So Airbnbs are probably the easiest studies that we do because it's usually an owner who has, maybe one or two or maybe a handful of properties. We can take those properties and break them down to the base level and say, these are the materials this building is built out of. These, here's the furniture, here's the fixtures in the building, and they all have different depreciation schedules. And so we optimize the depreciation of that building for the owner, right? And so you can think of this when you scale it on a grander scale. If we talk about commercial property, There could be a warehouse with a ton of different assets, a ton of different items you can depreciate, and it can be very complex. But at the end of the day, we want to be as accurate as possible so that that owner of that building can then take that study with their tax professional and file to get accelerated depreciation and get more money back in their pocket so that they can invest more in their business.
Making a really big difference for them. That's fantastic. What do you consider to be some of your biggest accomplishments over the past year?
So for me personally, and for my team, I think, coming from the environment that CSSI was in previously, there wasn't a lot of investment in technology. There was some, but it wasn't a main focus of the business. The main focus of the business was more growing the business and sales, which is absolutely necessary, right? So, but there comes a point where you also need the tools to support that growth. And so I think it was a perfect timing for myself to come in and for to build a team to where we can really help the business scale through technology and not through manual processes, and really bolster our ability to provide really good customer service. And then also internally, just to make our operations more efficient so that we can keep costs down because, in our industry and in our competition are constantly driving prices down, but we suspect that maybe through cutting corners, and we don't want to do that. And so we want to get more efficient so that we can drive costs down without having to cut any corners. So when you talk about accomplishments, there's a lot. We've turned around so many things from the IT perspective, just foundational stuff that we now have in place. And I think, we'll really see a lot of that fruit from that work in the next year or so. So laying the foundation, I think, is kind of the big accomplishment. And then it's not flashy. It's not, something that we can point to and say, that's cutting edge yet, right? But we laid the foundation so we can get there.
That's fantastic. Yeah, just building it the right way, it sounds like. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Building off of the technology side, how are you guys leveraging technology to serve your customers even more efficiently? What are some examples of that?
Yeah, so we have just launched or are about to launch an internal system that is replacing an old homegrown system that should make our internal operations way more efficient. And the new platform is also going to be able to plug into all sorts of third parties. So whatever is the best software out there for a specific function, we're going to be able to integrate with it, right? And so that's how you get good efficiency, or that's how you get really good efficiency gains, is finding the best of breed software and using it for that specific function in a business. And we'll have the ability to do that, in the very, very near future throughout the business. But today we are going all in on AI technology to help us increase where we see a lot of bottlenecks in our operation. So I think over the last year, we've identified where those bottlenecks are just by putting reporting in place, right? We didn't have a lot of reporting, a lot of analytics previously. And so we've built the reporting engine. So now we can take that data and point to it and say, hey, that's where our operation's inefficient. Let's go tackle that problem. And so I think that's where we are today in terms of the value we're providing from an IT standpoint. Is we're now able with data to be able to pinpoint our bottlenecks in our business, and now we're going to go address them. So that's going to help customers by driving down costs. It's going to make sure that our processes are still just as accurate as they always have been. And then, some of the really nice stuff coming soon, most likely next year, is, having a client portal where people can log in and see all their studies, see all their history. Our end customers can easily, access all of that stuff, and then even request new studies, right? If they're a repeat customer, which, that's exactly what we want, is we want people to be happy with the product that we give them, so that when they go buy another property, they say, hey, I had a really good experience with CSSI on my last property. I'm going to go to them again. So they'll be able to order services through an online interface in the near future as well.
It's going to be a really big deal. That's awesome. What else do you guys have going on that you're excited about for 2025 and 2026 initiatives?
Yeah, so I mean, we are just double and tripling down on AI, right? So, and I don't know how the competition is going about that. Typically in tax services, it is a slower curve, but we're going as fast as we can to get AI into our processes. I think AI has become, and automation has become, obviously a big hot topic recently, and people want to apply it to everything. But I think the important thing to know is that you really have to know a specific problem to solve first. And alluding back to what I said earlier, we now can identify those specific problems, and now we can say we're going to take AI and apply it to that one problem and make it a lot better. And then we can do that multiple times throughout the business and really increase our efficiency throughout everything.
It's an awesome way to go about it. Can you tell us a little bit about how you organize your objectives and your strategies to collaborate with your team, and then how you see that adding value to your customers?
As a executive team, we always have our goals that come from our board, right? And so that's going to be first and foremost in terms of how we organize. But then, it's up to us to interpret how to get to those goals. And so that's where, myself and the team always have strategy sessions. We'll say, this is the goal we want to get to, right? Let's get some ideas on how do we get there. And so we'll get those ideas out, put them on paper, make sure, they sit for a little while in our minds, and then come back and rank them, as what's going to get us the most bang for our buck as quick as possible. And so, so that's really how we organize. It's just trying to prioritize what will get us the most value up front, and then go chase that, and then move on down the list. And so we'll have these reset sessions, just because obviously market trends change, and needs from the board change. So we'll have them pretty often, maybe at least once a quarter. But yeah, it's just all about prioritizing and trying to get the most value as quickly as possible that will help us internally and our customers.
Very, very intentional efforts in that area. It's awesome. What is your methodology for managing change?
Yeah, so managing change is tough. No matter what organization you're in. I mean, I've been in a startup company, and that was tough to manage change in. And typically, that's the environment where everybody's very comfortable with change, right? So coming to this company, and a lot of folks did things the way they wanted to do for a long time. There wasn't a lot of order. It was more just kind of a freedom model, and we're just trying to bring some structure and some order to that, not change it completely, but to manage that change, it's just getting everybody involved, right? So if you make a decision, you want to get feedback on it as soon as possible. Making sure that the decisions you're making are reversible. So if they're not reversible, maybe it takes a lot more thought and effort. But if it's something that you can make a quick change and it's reversible, and then you get feedback on it, a lot of times it's a good thing. Sometimes it'll be a bad thing, and you just go back to what you were doing before. So I think it's just assessing how big of an impact the decisions are going to be, communicating that to all the parties that are involved, and then being able to be very agile if something doesn't work the way you thought, being able to go back.
Fantastic. Very, very thoughtful approach you have there. Thinking about the Salesforce side of things, how do you guys leverage the value of your Salesforce system?
Yeah, so Salesforce is something fairly new to us. So, you know, I had implemented Salesforce and worked with an implementation team in the past at other companies, but at CSSI, you know, every company is unique and has its own processes, and we implemented Salesforce at the end of last year. And so this year has been more of a growing journey, right? Trying to understand what works, what doesn't, make quick changes to the system. And so WhiteRock has been, you know, great in helping us get that accomplished. Today, the way that we use Salesforce and get the value out of it is it's our main sales database, right? It's the way we maintain our relationships with our customers, our past customers, as well as, you know, making sure that our sales reps keep those relationships. And then, you know, we also bring in data on potential customers who have shown interest in cost aggregation or any of our other services, so that we can reach out to them, be responsive, and make sure we're going to meet their needs if they do decide to go with us.
Yeah, sounds like a really good spot to be in, kind of first year in. That's wonderful. I know you spoke to WhiteRock helping you guys on the Salesforce side, but anything else you want to share on how WhiteRock has helped you guys leverage your Salesforce system?
Yeah, I think it's just the experience, right? WhiteRock has a lot of experience in implementing and maintaining Salesforce environments, and so they've really helped guide us in the right way. You know, we have weekly calls. At some point, I was having daily calls with the team, but I think we've scaled that back to weekly now, and we really encourage ideas, right? We want folks in the organization to bring ideas to those meetings, and then we bounce it off the WhiteRock resources, and they give us guidance on what they've seen with other companies or what their thoughts are on implementing some of these ideas that we have that could potentially help. Or maybe it's a bad idea, and they give their feedback on that. But you know, we really value the relationship of being able to bring the things that we're thinking about as an organization that we think could improve our processes or maybe improve the way that we sell, and getting their feedback, and then, you know, if it's a good idea, getting their guidance on how we get it implemented.
Yeah, I'm glad that the collaboration there has been helpful. How have CSSI and WhiteRock work together to customize solutions for the unique needs at CSSI?
Yeah, so as much as, you know, as an IT professional, as much as I don't want to customize systems, because, you know, customization can lead to too much complexity. Every company has customizations, right? And so it's just finding the right ones to implement in something like Salesforce. And yeah, so the WhiteRock team has help guide us on that, and help build some of those custom processes that we have in Salesforce today that really help make our operations efficient from the sales side. You know, it's been, again, a great working relationship with the team. Really feels like they're just part of our organization. You know, they're just experts at Salesforce that work with CSSI. So yeah, it's been a good experience in getting those customizations for our business built into Salesforce, and then making sure they work right.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Have there been any, standout moments, whether a big milestone or just a small shift, that have made you feel like our work together was creating an impact?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, just having users really be really using the Salesforce system and being in tune with it, and understanding, the changes that we're making constantly to improve the experience for them. So our sales users, have jumped in and adopted the system, and always have feedback. And I think, the fact that they're happy to use it, and they're I guess, engaged with what we're doing really speaks for the solution that was put in place, because they're wanting to use it. They're actively giving feedback on it. It would be much worse if we never got feedback, because that means nobody's using it, and that's not where we are today.
How would you describe the partnership with WhiteRock as far as communication and accountability goes?
It's good. I mean, I feel like I can talk to our team at WhiteRock at any time. We have Slack, a collaborative Slack channel, and we're always talking to each other. So I don't think there's a lag in communication because of that. I think the fact that they're open to just having a direct line of communication at any time is really helpful.
How does CSSI measure the success of WhiteRock solutions for your organization?
Yeah, I think so. I would say we're still in early days, just because, we launched late last year and we've been making so many refinements throughout the year. But I think the ability to report out of a single sales database is how we can measure that impact, right? And previous to that, CSSI didn't have a way to do that in a cohesive way, right? It was a lot of spreadsheets. It was a lot of manual processes. And so being able to have one system where we go to and all the sales data is there, I think that alone speaks volumes for the system.
Yeah, that's great to hear. What advice would you give, kind of given your experience, to an organization considering a Salesforce partner like WhiteRock?
I think, just like any partnership, you need to make sure you ask them about their experiences and how they've solved challenges for similar customers. I think, being in the same industry is probably very important, at least having previous customers in the same industry, or at least in the same ballpark, right? So that they can apply those learnings to your business. And that's really where we've seen value from working with WhiteRock, is being able to have their experience applied to our business. And so I think anybody who wants to partner with an organization like that just needs to have a clear understanding of the work that organization has done in the past and how it can apply to their business.
And what's the most significant piece of advice that you would give to someone in your role at another company?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't know that I have a great piece of advice for somebody in a similar role, only because they may be, more accomplished than I am. But I think just, working with people and working with teams, and being open to feedback are always going to be the most important part of this role. The technology side is extremely important, and knowing the technical side is very helpful. But at the end of the day, no one person can know everything, and so we have to rely on each other as a community and as a group to accomplish the goals that we want to in a company. And so, I guess working with a team like WhiteRock, make sure that they're a complementary piece to your team, and you can have that open communication with them so that you can accomplish your goals.
That's awesome. Thank you. Before we get into some closing questions here, Justin, is there anything else you'd like to share with those tuning in?
Not a lot else to share. I think, the opportunity I've had here at CSSI is different from the jobs I've had in the past, in that we're building from the ground up. And so I think Salesforce is a big part of that. It's a big part of that foundation. And, we're just going to continue to grow on top of it. But it's just been a great experience so far, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like even a year from now, because when I look back 1 year, the change we've had is immense, right? And so when I think about 1 year from today, I'd almost believe CSSI is going to look, a whole lot different even from today. So just really excited about that.
Fantastic. To kind of close us out here, do you have a favorite book or a resource for success that you would recommend?
Yeah, I don't know, this might be a cliche, and it's really something I got from working at a manufacturing company, but the book called The Goal. It's one of my favorite books, especially in business. And in turn, there's kind of a spin-off that was based off The Goal called the Phoenix Project. And that one is very similar, but just in IT speak. So those two books, I think, are essential reads for anybody in business and in IT, just because the message that they have will change your thinking on how business works. So I encourage anybody to go read those books.
Thank you. Yeah, those sound like good ones. Where can those tuning in get in contact with you or CSSI?
Sure. Yeah. If you wanted to message me, you could message me on LinkedIn. My profile is just Justin Chavarria. I know there's others out there, but I was actually the first, I guess, on LinkedIn with my last name. So it's pretty simple. And then for the company, it's CSSIservices.com is our main website, and you can learn more about the company there.
Fantastic. Well, Justin, truly been a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thank you for taking the time. Just really neat to hear about where the progress that CSSI has been through lately and just where you guys are headed next. Exciting times. So thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Hannah. I appreciate it. And again, I'm honored to be on the podcast.
Well, that concludes another exciting episode of Trailside Talk. Thanks for joining, and see you on the next trail.